Our trains are a national joke. It's just that some jokes are funny.
The service is abysmal.
Everyone's squashing here like sardines.
Delays, delays, delays.
Facilities on the train's been absolutely shocking.
You pay a lot for your ticket anyway.
Absolutely appalling.
I'm Nick Knowles.
And I'm Rianna Scipio, and this is UK's Worst, the programme that's proud to go from bad to worse.
On tonight's programme, the train company that puts its passengers on buses.
The train's so old they're falling apart.
And the operator that kept passengers in the dark. We've had dozens of nominations for the worst railway, and later I'll be giving this to the winner.
Now, there's been more chaos on the railways today.
Well, the news for commuters doesn't get any better this morning, I'm afraid.
A 48-hour strike is disrupting rail services for thousands of passengers.
After a year of discontent, it's no surprise rail passengers are up in arms. The drivers downed tools, rail track was folded, and while all that was going on, Stephen Byers took a holiday in India. Tony Blair has even called in ex-BBC boss Lord Burt to try and sort it out. Despite all the hot air, nearly a third of all British trains are late.
Right, I think it's time we took a look at our first nomination.
First stop, Northern Ireland. Beautiful scenery. Shame about the trains.
I nominate Translink. Here in Northern Ireland, we have had one of the worst funded railway networks in the UK. It means trains which are 30 years old and a railway network which is well past its use-by date.
That's not an angry passenger, it's a director of Translink, the company that runs the Northern Ireland Railways. Yes, you heard it right, they've nominated themselves as UK's worst rail operator. There are 4 main lines, all starting from Belfast, but slow and infrequent services mean passengers just can't rely on it. Northern Ireland Railways has never been privatised and has to compete for public funds along with schools and hospitals, which means Translink just hasn't had the private investment that rail companies on the mainland have had in recent years.
We have a network which carries trains which are 25 to 30 years old, on which the bulk of our passengers travel. We have large stretches of the track where speeds really are down to 20, 30 miles an hour. And we have stations which really are past their sell-by date. We want a modern, efficient and excellent railway service. But over the next 2-3 years, that's what our passengers will be getting and that's what we'll be delivering.
Well, that's what the boss says. Time to try it for myself. He wasn't kidding, the trains are very basic. Yes, that is a hole in the door, but at least it's on its hinges, unlike this one. Oh, and they could do with a spot of reupholstery. They're dirty, you can hardly see the scenery through some of these. And he wasn't joking about them being slow. Yes, those cars are overtaking us.
Well, passengers aren't getting the service that they deserve. The train service here has been underinvested for too long, and indeed in many ways it's a second-rate service for the people of Northern Ireland.
In fact, a recent passenger survey rates train services at an all-time low.
They're so old and they're so dirty.
These things are falling apart, like.
I very seldom arrive on time.
You know, have you checked out the toilets as well?
Toilets are a recurring problem. Here's one we found flooded and leaking into the corridor. But according to the pressure group Transport 2000, the loos are the last thing the passengers should worry about. They claim that half the line between Belfast and Londonderry needs to be upgraded. The trains are certainly slow. It's only 60 miles from Belfast to Derry, but it takes 2 hours and 10 minutes. And time can drag, and drag, and drag. But at least the view's pretty, even through the dirty windows. And some passengers are more than happy.
We're on holiday, so we're very relaxed. The train
suits us. It's very nice to travel on. Everybody's very helpful.
All very well, as long as you don't depend on Translink regularly.
It's 9 o'clock at night. I've been travelling for most of the day, and I'm now going back to Belfast from Londonderry. I've just been informed that the train in front of us has broken down, and God doesn't know how long we're going to be delayed for.
And when I went to find something to eat, the guard said I would have to go for a stroll into town. Not very encouraging.
45 minutes later.
It took me over 3 hours to complete the 60-mile journey back to Belfast. Average speed, a dawdling 20 miles per hour.
It's over 20 years since we've had a brand new train built in Northern Ireland now. That's just not acceptable. What we need is a major overhaul in the system.
Translink say a £105 million investment plan means in 3 years' time they'll have new, modern, fast and air-conditioned trains like the ones currently in use on their Dublin route. They say all trains are regularly cleaned, and the Londonderry line officially scores 99.6% for reliability and 82% for punctuality.
There's a big difference between being on the Virgin Trains PR bandwagon and being on one of the trains. With the one, you get champagne. On the other, you may not get anything at all.
We reopened the buffet, and when we were there was nothing to offer us.
For publicity, it's flashing lights, but on the trains, you may not get any lights. For PR, you get smiling faces, but it's a different story on board.
Virgin are absolutely miles ahead of anybody else for the worst service ever.
Virgin CrossCountry runs a network of commuter routes right across Britain. You can travel from Glasgow to Plymouth and many places in between. It has one of the worst records for punctuality and reliability in the country. I'm on my way to Leamington Spa now for the next nomination. Rob Bradford travels regularly from Derby to Leamington Spa for work. Only we're a bit late because the first Great Western train bringing my crew to meet me was cancelled, wasn't it, chaps? And unfortunately, my connection from Birmingham was 37 minutes late. On board, everyone has a Virgin story to tell.
They told us there was a problem with the engine and everybody had to get off. We all got off, but then a whole new load of people got on, and the train then reversed out and went off to Manchester. So I don't know what that was all about, but there obviously wasn't a problem with the engine. They just wanted us off it.
I've had 2 trains cancelled today on me.
How late are you?
About 2.5 hours.
I deliberately caught an earlier train, i.e. the one I've got, rather than one that got me there a bit later, because I suspected something would inevitably go wrong.
So every
And it
train...
has.
This train is now over an hour late, and this is the train we're going on to meet someone who wants to complain about the railway. And we're going to be late for that interview as well. That's quite funny when you think about it, isn't it? Which is more than you can say for the toilets. You need a sense of humour to appreciate these loos. And then to add to the fun... Oh, that's nice, the lights have gone.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
We sat in total darkness for 15 minutes.
Come to talk with you again.
Finally made it to Leamington Spa, 45 minutes late. There's been so much drama, I've almost forgotten what I've come for. Oh yeah, a nomination, that's right.
I nominate Virgin CrossCountry because, well, I never know what time I'm going to get home, and I never know when they're going to turn up.
Rob's asked me to make his daily journey back to Derby with him. We're going to take the 17:15 from Leamington Spa to Birmingham, hopefully picking up the 18:44 from New Street to Derby. The first surprise, the Leamington train arrives on time. Can't be that bad.
It's just so unreliable. I mean, yesterday morning I was 45 minutes late because we were stuck on this outside of Leamington for 40 minutes with no explanation until just before the service got moving. It's just poor.
Virgin CrossCountry have introduced new trains. This may have reduced breakdowns, but not punctuality. Just over half their trains arrive on time. However, we're in luck. We arrive at Birmingham New Street on time. And the train to Derby is also on time, although finding a seat isn't easy. And we arrive in Derby on time. The journey has run to timetable, but it's the first time this week for Rob, and his experience isn't uncommon.
Virgin CrossCountry come in for an awful lot of complaint. They get something like 3,000 complaints every week. The reliability of the CrossCountry service is very low indeed. If you're a serious traveller, you have to think very hard when you plan your journey. You have to think about adding that extra hour or going by another railway company whose trains won't break down on your way.
Virgin CrossCountry say that a new fleet of Voyager trains and over £1 billion worth of investment will transform the service and make it fit for the 21st century.